Hello YouTube, 3D Printing Life here, and today I'm going to do a video which is about a question that I get asked probably 2 or 3 times a week. If I was getting a printer, which one would I get? Or would I buy the Tulip again? If I could go back? Things along those lines. I get asked it all the time, so I might as well make a video about it. So let's just start with the Tulip right here. This, if you don't know, this is the printer that I started out with that I got. It costs $279 on Kickstarter. It still costs $279, which is a pretty good deal. And it prints decently well, about as well as you would expect a $279 3D printer to work. Don't expect it to be super precise. Don't expect the dimensions to be like super accurate. Print quality isn't going to be that great. It's going to be decent, but decent at best. And it requires a lot of time tinkering with it and trying to do all these little mods and printing out parts to try to get everything to work together nicely. Now, when I got it, of course, it looked like this, but I ended up printing replacements for just about everything except for this base here. So this was all 3D printed, the extruder was 3D printed, the carriage was 3D printed. I had a 3D printed coupling because they didn't originally provide these nice flexible metal ones. 3D printed some parts in here, some stuff around here, lots of 3D printed parts on it. And it did improve the quality quite a bit, but it still wasn't fantastic. And again, it's a $279 3D printer, and the quality of the hardware they use, and the fact that it's made out of basically particle board really limits the quality of, well, the absolute maximum quality you can get with the printer. If I could go back, would I buy it again? I probably would, because when I got this, sure, it sucked. It took a long time to get set up and all that stuff. But once I did get it set up, I was able to learn a lot about 3D printing because I basically had to in order to get the printer to work, which was a good thing. If you buy fancy pre-assembled 3D printers, you're not going to learn that much about 3D printing. If something breaks, you're not going to know how to fix it. With this, you really know how it works, and which makes it a lot better if you're really interested in 3D printing more of the process than the actual results. So again, don't buy this if you want really nice quality prints, if you want reliable prints, and if you want something that is just easy to work with. This is like the lowest case. There's quite a few other printers out there for around between $100 and $300. I wouldn't even touch most of those because they're just not good. Any resin ones, there's I believe a resin one for about $100. Don't go near that because it's really just like a for fun kind of thing. It's not going to give you any kind of good quality prints. Now, moving this next step up, this is where I would recommend you come in. If you want to buy a 3D printer, spend at least $500 or $600 and buy a decent one, and you will be so much more happy with it. I mean, I can't even describe how much of an improvement a stronger like frame of a 3D printer makes. I mean, just looking at the two, obviously this one looks quite a bit more expensive. But there are definitely a lot of good justifications for spending more money on a 3D printer. So when you come in here to this, this is the Solid Doodle 4. Now this printer used to cost about $1,000. They just got rid of all their old generation Solid Doodles from their site, and now they're only selling this one and up. So they brought down the price, which is awesome. It's only $600, and this is probably the printer that I would recommend to most people if you just want to get into 3D printing. It is pre-assembled, so if you were looking to build your own, unfortunately you can't do that, so yeah, that sucks. But it does make it quite a bit easier. Print quality from these is pretty good from what I've heard. Some people have some slight Z-banding issues, but that is something that you're really going to struggle with for any printer that's under like $1,000. That's has a Z-axis driven by a threaded rod anyway. But this printer, it's got a heated bed, it's got a larger 8x8 inch build area, it's got a full enclosure on it, it has this nice glass door up front that swings open. You could look up other videos on YouTube about the printer if you're interested in it, but it's just a really nice printer. And for 600 bucks, you really can't beat it. I also get quite a few people asking if it's worth it to buy the 2-up and my 3-up kit, and to basically buy 3-up. But to buy the 2-up and the 3-up, it would cost about 600 bucks. And for the amount of time it would take to put it together, and, well, the fact that my printer was basically designed to be an upgrade from the 2-up if you already bought the 2-up, not if you're just getting into it now, I would definitely recommend that you spend the same amount of money and get the Solid Doodle 4. The print quality is probably going to be pretty similar between the two, but this one's just a whole lot easier to buy and get set up. Now, like I mentioned, it is pre-assembled, so you're not going to learn all that much about how it works. But I mean, you still can learn quite a bit, because it's not like one of those completely dumbed down machines like I'm going to get to in a little bit, where it just does everything automatically. So, very good option here. Definitely would recommend this. Probably this would be the most recommended printer I would recommend to people, just because of the pretty good price point and the quality of the printer. Now, the next step up is about $1,000. This one's actually $1,300. They also have one that's $1,000, and this one is completely different, as you can see. This is a Delta style 3D printer, which means this is one of those ones with the 3 towers. Oh, that's kind of weird how it zooms in. Whatever. So yeah, 3 towers and 3 arms, and the heights of these pieces on each of these towers controls where the print head is. So if they all go up, obviously the print head goes straight up. If this one goes down, then the print head would come towards you, and so on. So yeah, I lost my train of thought a little bit. Oh yes, so this is $1,300 here. So this is, I mean, this is getting up there in the price. There are more expensive ones, which I will get to in a minute, but really, if you're just getting into 3D printing, I wouldn't recommend you spend this much money right off the bat. If you do think you're going to plan on spending this much money, I would actually recommend that you get a really cheap one like the 2-up, learn about 3D printing, just sort of get into it, find some filament you like, things like that. And then once you're familiar with how 3D printing works, go ahead and jump in and buy one of these expensive ones. This is one of those more dumbed down 3D printers, and by that I mean it's actually a much smarter 3D printer. But if the printer is smarter, it means you will not be as smart and you will not learn as much about 3D printing, which is why I say it's good to get a cheaper 3D printer first. As you can see, this one has the smart controller on it, which is basically makes it so this printer is standalone from your computer entirely. All you have to do on your computer is slice up a bunch of models, throw them on an SD card, plug it in here. You can select the models from the SD card using this, print directly from there. It's really cool. I actually just purchased one of these for myself, just a little module, because you can plug them into host printer controllers. But yeah, this printer, because it doesn't have a threaded rod, it means there's no Z-banding. However, because this whole gantry assembly thing is quite a bit heavier, these printers tend to be a bit louder when they're moving around, a bit more clunky, and they're also much larger. As you can see in this picture, it is really, really tall, but it only has about a 9-inch build height. Whereas to go back to this Solid Doodle, I believe this is like a 7 or an 8-inch build height. So these kind of cube ones are much more space efficient compared to these guys, but obviously they both have their advantages. Excuse me. And finally, if you want the absolute best, in my opinion, consumer 3D printer you can get, you gotta go German. The Ultimaker 2. This thing, it's incredibly well designed, and it looks great, and it works great. I have not heard that. Actually, I don't really think I've heard any bad things about the Ultimaker, other than some really small things that don't really matter. The price is about $2,500. Again, it's sold out of Germany, so it's in euros, so it will vary. And there is quite a long lead time, so you do want to take that in mind when you're buying a 3D printer. A lot of them do have long lead times because they are usually made to order, since they're so expensive and the market is still pretty small. So what's so great about this Ultimaker? Why should I spend $2,500 on a 3D printer when I can buy one for $200? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Let me just get started. Looking at their pictures here, first of all, as you can see, it is really well designed. A lot of engineering went into this, and it just is amazing how well everything fits together. The print head is incredibly light here. It's got the nice fan ducts like built in here, so it doesn't take up a lot of space at all. It has support for dual extrusion, which is nice. I don't think you can buy it directly with dual extrusion. Maybe you can, I completely forget. But anyway, support for it. The design, as I mentioned, is really nice. It's a really solid, rigid metal frame. And then inside, as you can see in some pictures, they have these the metal shielding, which hides quite a bit of those ugly electronics and mechanics that you don't really want to see. Well, I mean, you might want to see them, but if you want a pretty machine, you don't want to see them. And then coming in here, the build platform, it's a nice glass build platform that has these really easy to remove clips, so you can just pull it right off and take it out. Heated bed, of course, why not? It doesn't actually have a door on the front, but it is, other than that, enclosed on almost all sides. So that's always good. And then finally, what you care about most is the print quality. It's insane. I mean, if you look at this picture, with the light shining through the robot, you can barely see any artifacts, and that is some really tricky stuff to 3D print. I will tell you that. Printing this, I have printed this robot before, and it's really tough. It is a tough piece, especially this the detail on the chest right here because of all those little overhangs. But I mean, as you can tell, the Ultimaker handles it with no problem. And on top of that, it can print ridiculously fast. They say you can print up to 300 millimeters per second. I would go that fast. But if you're looking for the best quality, you can't go quite that fast. But for reference, my 3D printer, my 3-up, can only go about 200 max at the moment, 200 millimeters per second. So it's a full 50% faster. And it's basically dead silent. If you've ever watched YouTube videos about the Ultimaker, people are talking right next to it, just normal talking, and the 3D printer is literally like just a little whisper in the background. You can barely hear it. It is amazing. So, that being said, if I could recommend any printer, any price range, Ultimaker 2, all the way. If anybody out there would like to buy one and send it to me, you are more than welcome to. I would do just about anything for that other than pay you 2,500 bucks. But yeah, okay, that's probably not gonna happen. But you never know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So really awesome 3D printer. It's just really cool to look at. Sometimes I just like looking at pictures of it because it's so nice. And it's really cool. In case you couldn't tell, I do like this printer, and I do hope to buy it one day, or one of their future versions possibly. But at the moment, I can't spend 2,500 bucks on a 3D printer. So until that day, I will stick with my 3-up. So that's it for this video. I do apologize for it being so long, but hopefully this will answer quite a lot of people's questions about what 3D printer you should buy. Now, of course, there are well more 3D printers than just these 4 that I showed you. These are just 4 of the ones that I would recommend. And I mean, I'm not saying that these are the only good ones. I'm not saying that these are the best ones. I'm just saying that these are the ones that I would recommend from what I know. So it's important that you do your research on whatever 3D printer you do want to buy, even if it is one of these ones that I mentioned. Just make sure that any problems that are brought up by the community are ones that you can solve easily or that you don't mind about. And you should be good to go. But I can't stress that enough. Do your research before buying a 3D printer. They are expensive, and they do take a lot of your time up. So you want to make sure that you get a good one from a good company. So that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this incredibly long video, and I will catch you all later. Oh, it's not that long. Never mind. Bye.